So we'll start with Addison's disease. So there is a rule of 80 and 20. 80% Addison's disease is primary adrenal insufficiency, while 20% is secondary adrenal insufficiency. There is another rule of 80 and 20. 80% is adrenal cortex, while 20% is adrenal medulla. So what is the difference between primary adrenal insufficiency and secondary adrenal insufficiency? So in primary adrenal insufficiency, the problem is in the adrenal gland. So all three layers, the zona glomerulosa, the zona fasciculata and the zona reticularis, are going to malfunction, and they are going to produce the respective hormones in a less quantity. Decreased glucocorticoid, that is cortisol, and decreased DHEAS, androstenedione, sorry. So ACTH, due to negative feedback, is going to get increased. So this is primary adrenal insufficiency, while secondary adrenal insufficiency is going to have a problem in the pituitary. So it is going to produce less ACTH and consequently decreased cortisol and decreased DHEAS is going to be produced, while aldosterone remains normal as it is not under ACTH feedback. It is under the feedback of renin aldosterone activating system. So this is the take home point from this slide, that in secondary adrenal insufficiency, the aldosterone is going to be normal. All right. So now what are the most common causes of primary adrenal insufficiency? In the world, in India. In the world, it is autoimmune cause, that is PGA1 or PGA2, polyendocrine glandular autoimmune syndrome 1 and 2. 2 is most common. In India, the answer is TB, and all over the world, the most common infective cause worldwide is going to be histoplasmosis. Okay. Now we come to the symptoms, clinical features. So the most common clinical feature symptom is fatigue. and this is going to be because of cortisol deficiency. So it is going to cause fatigue, asthenia, loss of weight, and loss of appetite. So this will look like a B symptom of oncological emergency. So it is usually called an endocrine disorder presenting as malignancy. Okay. So what are going to be the clinical features because of decreased dihydroepiandrosterone? They are going to be loss of libido. They are going to have dry skin, and they are going to have loss of body hair, especially axillary and pubic hair. Now, decreased aldosterone is going to cause hypovolumic hyponatremia, orthostatic hypotension, giddiness, dizziness. So the point we need to understand here is that aldo will cause hypovolumic hyponatremia, while glucocorticoid deficiency, that is aldo deficiency, will cause hypovolumic hyponatremia, while glucocorticoid deficiency will cause euvolumic hyponatremia. Now, once when we go to the metabolic findings, because of reduced aldo, there is going to be reduced sodium and hyperkalemia. Because of decreased orthostatic hypotension slash intravascular volume depletion, there is going to be increased calcium because of calcium conservation. Similarly, there is going to be increased calcium as well as increased magnesium. So, the increased calcium will present to you with acute abdominal pain plus constipation. Now, because of all this, all the hormones are reduced, aldo is reduced, cortisol is reduced, DHEAS is reduced, so ACTH is going to increase. Alright, so when ACTH increases, what happens is hyperpigmentation. And where does it occur? Dorsum of hand, knuckles. There is darkening of complexion, but it spares the tongue. So, because it spares the tongue, this can help us differentiate certain things. Now, secondary adrenal insufficiency. How is it going to present? The most common cause of secondary adrenal insufficiency is going to be adult hypopituitarism, and that is going to be because of mass effect, stalk effect, because of adenomas or non-functioning pituitary adenomas, as they are called as. They can be functional, they can be non-functional. So they'll present with glucocorticoid deficiency, they'll present with DHEAS deficiency with the features we have mentioned before, and aldosterone is going to be normal and ACTH is going to be reduced, so no hyperpigmentation. Okay, so there are a few points now regarding the diagnosis. How are we going to diagnose? So we are going to diagnose it by the screening test, which is going to be 8 am plasma cortisol. So normally it should be more than 20 microgram per deciliter, but here it is going to be less than 3 microgram per deciliter. These values are very important, and what happens if the values are between 3 to 20 microgram per deciliter? Then we go for the confirmatory test. The confirmatory test is going to be ACTH stimulation test or co-syntropin test or synacthin test. In this, we are going to give 250 micrograms of ACTH IV or IM. Now going to measure the cortisol levels at 0, 30 and 60 minutes. And if it is going to be more than 20, so microgram per deciliter, it is normal. But if it is less than 20 microgram per deciliter, it is Addison's. So now we come to the management. in case of management, we are going to look at the chronic adrenal insufficiency. So here the treatment is going to be steroids, mainly hydrocortisone, in the dose of 10, 5, 5 at 8 to 9 a.m., then at 1 to 2 p.m., and then at 4 to 5 p.m. So it will mimic the normal pulsatile flow. So it is maximum in the morning, minimum at night. We are also going to give here, we are going to give fludrocortisone for aldosterone deficiency in the dose of 50 to 100 micrograms per day. So this is the treatment of chronic adrenal insufficiency. Acute adrenal insufficiency is basically an medical emergency, and it presents because of sudden withdrawal of steroids, non-compliance, or stress in a patient with adrenal insufficiency. Okay, so they will present with abdominal pain, hypovolemia, hyponatremia, shock. The treatment here is going to be 100 milligram IV hydrocort on day 1, 6 hourly, followed by 100 mg IV 8 hourly, followed by 50 mg IV 8 hourly, followed by 10, 5, 5. Now, there is an important conversion that we need to know. That is, if we are giving hydrocort, but it is not available, so what is the prednisolone equivalent, or what is the dexa equivalent, or what is the hydrocortisone to methylprednisolone equivalent? So we need to follow just one formula, that is 0.75 equals to 4 equals to 5 equals to 20. 0.75 of dexa equals to 4 milligram of methylpred equals to 5 milligram of prednisone equals to 20 milligram of hydrocort. So 100 milligram of hydrocort will be equal to 20 milligram of methylprednisolone. All right. And say if there is a adrenal insufficiency in case of child, what you will think? It is adrenoleukodystrophy, which is X linked. The gene is ABCD1 gene. The product is beta oxidation of fatty acids, and test of choice is very long chain fatty acid levels, while the treatment is Lorenzo oil. So this finishes with adrenal insufficiency. Thank you.